Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is Talking Sense, David. If this is your first time visiting this channel, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and share a video with your friend. So with that being said, let's get started. Before we get into today's video, I just want to remind you that this is not financial advice. It's just for educational purposes, and it's a video that you can use to help you determine if you want to invest in the stock, or it's just there to give you some extra knowledge. So recently we've seen a lot of excitement around Purple Group, and it's literally shot into space, and many of us are probably already shareholders, so congratulations to all of us. Those of you that might think you don't have enough, or you've missed the bus, or you aren't a shareholder and you are looking to get in, this video is for you. It's just to give you some idea of what to expect. And it's also just for those that already have a position in Purple Group and would like to add more. Now, after we see a strong move like we've already seen this last week, I think from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even a bit today, Monday, we can see PP Purple Group is up 5% today. In front of you, you will see the screen, and I've drawn all these funny lines. So you might not know what it means, but I'm going to try and explain it to you in an easy, understandable way. So I'm going to take you back to August 2020. That is where I am here. You'll see that's where we had this long first breakout. Now, just before I continue, these candlesticks are 1 week. So every candlestick that you see, you can see that represents a 1 week period. So let's go back to this stage here, August 2020, and you can see this big green line here, this wick, how it broke up, tested a resistance area, and that was at about 1 Rand or 96 cents. And then it just started pulling back, and week after week, it just traded sideways and consolidated downwards. So that's like a gestation period where it's just trying to take in what's just happened, this massive rally up, and now it's just consolidating and it's ready to make its move up. And you can see we have these step movements, a shoot up, break past the resistance, and a pull back down to where it previously was, where it previously broke out from. You can see this red line that I'm putting here now. All right, that is about 58, 59 cents. We can just say there. That's where it was struggling to break out prior to that first breakout. Gets there, pulls down a little bit and consolidates, breaks out, and then starts consolidating down. Usually it consolidates down to where it broke out. You can see in this case that it didn't make it all the way there. So that's an important thing to remember, because we're going to come back to this point. And the same thing, it's just like a step. It goes up, sideways down. You can see it's in that channel that I've drawn. That is called a bull flag. You can see it forms that's the pole and then a flag. So just think of like you're holding a flag and you've got the pole in your hand, and the flag is these candlesticks. So that represents a pole and a bull flag, and that is bullish sentiment. So that means price continuation is going to continue, and it's going to move to the upside. Not always the case, but it is just an indicator and a formation that you can keep track of and make calculated guesses, if you want to call it that. So you'll see we go through that period, breaks out of that resistance between that 85 zone, 1 Rand zone that was very strong, broke out all the way up to 122, 1 Rand 22. And then that became the new resistance area. You can see as it got up there, it battled and sold off immediately, and it went 1 week. We had one positive week there. Remember, each candlestick represents a week. So that's strong rally up there. 1 week started selling off. That consolidation period, that gestation period, which is the bull flag. And it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, almost 14 weeks. So 3.5 months, 4 months of it not even testing that 1 Rand 20 again. So in that time, if you had bought right at the top, you wouldn't have seen any gains in your portfolio for 4 months. And if you are an impatient person, maybe you've just seen the hype, everyone buy PPE, get into it, you need it now. And then you buy it and you think nothing's happening. And then you sell, and then you're chasing that money, you're chasing the profits. Obviously, it is ideal. We all want to make money, but we need to understand the risks involved. We need to understand that things take time to play out. So some people might have irrationally bought at the high and then thought, oh, I'm down. And you can see it went almost down to like 78 cents again. So that's quite a big drop. I think that's roughly, could be about 20%. I'm not sure. Let's just check. Let's just say to that bottom, it's almost 30%, more than 30%. All right. So you would be down in that consolidation period. You'll see from that high to the low of that channel, probably between 30 and 40%. And that can be psychological, especially if you're chasing the money and you needed your money and you missed out. And most people ask after Purple Group has had a share, has had a spike up in price, is it a good time to buy now? You can, of course. If you had bought there, you would have been in the red, unrealized losses, but you could have been dollar cost averaging in over time. So when it reached that first high, you think, should I buy? You can start nibbling in, even if it's at a new high. Don't take your full amount and invest it all at once. And then as it drops week by week, you buy a little bit more, you buy a little bit more. Then that brings down your average purchase price over time. Instead of having 120, you might have had maybe 110 or 105 after that 14-week cycle. So if you're patient, there's opportunities to buy at lower prices, but it's not always guaranteed to do that pattern, that formation. You can see we broke out of that existing range there, made a new high, consolidated, and then we pulled back down to that breakout zone. You'll see that red line. So it worked out perfect. That would have been an awesome time to accumulate, because we haven't seen those levels since March 2021. So that's like 6 months that we haven't seen 1 Rand or 85 cents. And that's when it broke up again. You can see it got to that level there, hit that resistance zone, and there was a bit of selling pressure there because the people that had bought at that previous high thought, it's my opportunity to get out of this share. I'm out of here. Thank you. I'm breaking even, or I'm making $100 and I'm running. So that's where that selling pressure comes in. And then it broke out of that range, continued consolidating for a while, broke up again. Same formation patterns happens 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It's just like climbing the stairs up. Breaks up, consolidates, breaks up, consolidates. And let's go back to June 2021. You can see it broke up past that 120 zone. That was a very strong resistance zone that took 4 months to break out of. And when it did break out, it made a new high at about 137, 135, and consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks only. So there was a lot of euphoria. That could have been, don't quote me, that could have been maybe a new deal. I'm not sure when the Capita deal came through, but there could have been more excitement about the share, more customers joining. It's just maybe more buyers coming in, inside buyers or new partnership deals. So it consolidated for a lot less than the previous consolidation cycle. Broke up, got to about 165. And again, that was in June, 165. And a lot of people are like, is this the time to buy? Because 165 was an incredible price for Purple Group. We got excited. Many people were sharing their screenshots. And people asked the question again, should I buy now? It's at the high. So the same thing with 120 when it got to 120. Again, you can buy, of course, but then you must be willing to possibly sit for up to 3-4 months where your portfolio is in the red because of that gestation period. So again, if you had bought that high and just thought, oh, I like the company, I'm buying it, I believe it, I will dollar cost average in. Let's just say you bought at that 165 zone, you would have been 20% in the red during that consolidation zone. You can see how it pulled back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks. On the 12th week, it broke out. So you would have sat, let's call it 3 months, and you would have seen no gains in your portfolio. This is a scam, this is this is that. But people, that's how sentiment works. People will chase without realizing what they're buying. They've seen other people buy it. They buy it at the high, and then they don't realize they need to dollar cost average in, and they sell out. So that's why when we get, you can see after the 12th week, it started breaking out again, but it battled because a lot of people bought between 155 and 160 and were trying to get out because they were worried that the share wasn't going to go higher. They bought higher. They've been holding for 3-4 months, maybe at a loss. And when they get the opportunity to break even, they take it. And that is when I did part 1 of the video, because that's when we started seeing a lot of accumulation. So all the sellers that were selling at that time were making a massive mistake. That's what the charts were indicating to me. I'll put part 1 video in the description if you want to watch that, or if you haven't seen it, you're more than welcome to do that. And that's when I started accumulating more, quite aggressively. I explained in the first video, but that was a time to load up. And the same thing, we went through that gestation period, and then we've seen that massive spike up, and we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of positive momentum in purple group. You can see there's no red candle here. See, I deleted that wrong line there. Let me just add it back. You'll see that we went 6 weeks, these 6 green lines that you see on your computer here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 weeks of gains or positive small increments. And then the last week is where we saw that massive spike in purple group. Now the question arises, I see people asking, is it a good time to buy again? Now again, we add a new high based on this cycle. If I just put that red line to say that's the resistance line at about 124, I think that was the high it touched, 124, 125. But you can see we are in this zone now. And this is an important zone because companies still have fundamentals, how much revenue they can make and how much they are making currently, and how much of that has already been priced in to the stock already. So we already know the euphoria has been high, the company is great, and the long-term fundamentals are good. So I say that because we could be entering into a period of underperformance. I'm just going to quickly zoom out, and you'll see that this period over here, you can see purple group, it rose during this period, all right? This was in 2014. You can see this gradual rise, and then this period of massive underperformance. So anyone who bought the top there at 1 Rand, right? They would have had to have held it for, let's say the highs in 2016, that's June 2016. If you had bought at 1 Rand then, it would have taken you 4 years just to break even. And that's why we have that first strong resistance over there, because there was a lot of people exiting from back then already. So will that cycle repeat? So it doesn't mean the company's bad. What you need to be prepared is if you decide to buy a high, because we don't know when that trend will reverse. It's going to reverse because eventually the price that the company is valued at is not going to reflect the underlying fundamentals of their actual revenue that they're making. So there's a few things that could happen. Now, you can't predict the top, and it's very unpredictable what could happen. People could still join and send the stock price even higher. But what we could see here is what we've been seeing, this gestation period, this consolidation period, back down to where it broke out. So possibly 170, 180. It might not get all the way down there, but you can see based on what it's done before, as it breaks out, pulls back to that previous resistance area, which is now support, bounces up, breaks up. So what we could see here is the same pattern. You'll see stair up, stairs up, stairs up. And again, do I buy? If you do, you need to realize that you might hold this stock for 3, 4, 5, 6 months in the red of up to 20, 30% before it decides to break up again, where it will retest that 220 zone and then chop sideways, because anyone who buys now will maybe want to sell out for holding 4 months and not making any gains. So we could see a few things happen here. It's most likely going to consolidate. It's not a given, but that's what I'm predicting. And that's where I would like to add more. And then we'll see maybe a new breakout upwards to set new highs, or we'll see a bounce off that resistance zone that we are currently trading at, 220. And that will be a key signal to determine if underperformance is about to come. Because I read an article on MoneyWeb where they say the easy money has been made, which kind of makes sense because look at this. That's a strong uptrend. If we just take that just from there, how much percent return has someone actually made to, let's say they sold out at 225, they bought at 57, 58 cents. That is a solid, call it 300%, 291%. Now, I would say that's easy money that's been made, especially if you bought in there. So that's seen a massive run. And if you zoom out even on a longer time scale, let's say 1 week, 1 month, that could be a period where it's the pole, and we could go through a period of a year where we make the next flag. So it depends on what time frame you're looking at. We could go a whole year or 2 years of underperformance, just like these people who had bought here had to hold on during underperformance or even negative performance before the fundamentals catch up with what the valuation is currently. So that's something to be aware of. So you have to have a risk mitigation strategy in place. If you believe in the company, then that's great, because then you just continue to accumulate. But if you do end up, or you have bought at this high of 224, then this is something you need to be aware of, because you can go another year right now and see no gains in your portfolio. And that's psychologically taxing, because you might have other shares that are in the red and you might see no green or no positive performance in your portfolio. And if you are looking at it regularly, that could really man, what is going on? And you want to sell it, you don't want to lose more money. So it's important to understand that psychology behind the trading. So before I wrap the video up, let's just look at a possibility of what could happen here. Let's say we go through this consolidation, and again, this is an uptrend. We are in this channel, all right? Okay, so forgive me for my untidiness here in this charting, but I'm just trying to make it clear of what we could expect. So you can see we are in this channel, and we've created those bull flags like steps that I've showed you. And you can see we're at this upper end of this channel again, And most likely it has to consolidate just to digest what's just happened. I'm not saying this is the top. It could still go up much further. It could go up to 250, 260 before it goes into this bull flag pattern. All right, because it can't just go up in a straight line. It's unhealthy. Pullbacks are normal. So what we could see over the next 3-4 months, by the end of the year or end of January next year, we could still be at current levels, or we could be at about R1.80 because it goes through this gestation period and then breaks up higher. And that's something to watch, because if it breaks lower, if this arrow here doesn't turn upwards and it doesn't keep this continuation pattern and it doesn't break, or it breaks there, but then it comes down, sorry, it comes down, then that's an important structure to watch, because then it's invalidating that upwards trend, and we could be entering into a period of an even longer sell-off where people think, the valuation's not matching the fundamentals, maybe easy equities hasn't grown as fast as they have in the prior years, or all these multiple factors can affect price and sentiment and people wanting to protect their gains. Think about it. If someone's made 290% and they're still holding, you are euphoric, and all of a sudden you go from 224 and the share keeps dropping, you're going to see your portfolio go from 290% gains to 200% gains to 170% gains, 150% gains, 120% gains. And at what point do you think, whoa, it's time to get out, let me protect these profits? And that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy of more people trying to run out to protect what they've gained, and that could lead to the price tanking. All right, I wouldn't say tanking, but just taking profit. And that's where we could see a reversal happen, and where we go into a period of underperformance of potentially even up to 4 years. I'm not saying it will be that, but that's something you consider. And if you end up buying this high, and this is the high for the next 2 years, are you willing to dollar cost averaging over time and have conviction that the share in the long term is going to pass that 202 Rand 24? So it's important to watch this structure over the next 3 to 4 months. If you are adamant that you want to take a position, or you don't want to not be involved, and you do end up buying this high, don't be frightened of this pullback of up to 30%. But then this is a key signal to watch. And then don't get an attachment, because it could easily, might not even follow that pattern, and it could just break down to there and then chop sideways between, let's say, depends on how far it goes, let's say chop sideways between 124 and 180. That could be a range for like a year, 2 years, while the valuation gets justified. So these are things you have to look out for. But what I think we've still got a bit of upside. I think the sentiment is high. It also depends on macroeconomics and global sentiments, what's happening in stocks. If there's a wider market sell-off in the global equity market, then usually no shares are immune, and that's just what you have to watch for. So if you see a close below, let's say a weekly candle below 150, then we are setting lower lows. At the moment, you can see we have a higher low, higher low, higher low. Most likely it's going to form a new higher low, yeah, and then retest the area where it's making resistance now. And then that's where you need to watch. It could break up, could break down. So let the chart tell you what's happening. And if you have conviction, keep adding and just wait for this gestation period to play out a bit, and then you can capitalize on it. So I hope this video has given you something. I know I rambled a bit, but I wanted to try and explain what I had in my head. A lot of people are confused as to what they should do. Don't try and chase the profits. The profits are ideal. in the wider scheme of things, 3-4 months is not really a long time, especially when it comes to trading. And we all want to make that quick money, of course, but be sensible, have a risk mitigation plan and a strategy in place, and just make sure that you understand the risks and that you are prepared to hold a stock for up to a year sometimes in the red before you see any positive momentum and upwards movement. So thank you, everyone. That's the end of the video. Again, please, if you haven't hit subscribe, I would truly appreciate that. I am trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers, and I will continue to share my videos with all of you. And if there's any stocks that you want me to have a look at, research, I don't usually just throw out any stock out there and talk about it unless I've done my due diligence on it. Some of you have asked me for Mr. Price. I will start looking at that. But if there's any share that you are interested in, comment below, let me know, and I will spend some time looking through the technicals, the fundamentals, and I'll try and make a video on that. So again, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for everyone so far, so much for supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. So from me, bye for now.